So sometimes Russian propagandists surprisingly tell the truth. They lie a lot, but sometimes they're just reasonably honest with us and say what they really think. And here is an example of where they're saying what they really think. This is a special shout out to the Russian Media Monitor, who does incredible work with providing these with subtitles. And then sometimes I'll take these, depending on what they are, and then I'll add some commentary to it as well. But this is a propagandist explaining how Russia is restoring its empire. And that's right, they're restoring their empire. It's not just in a way, in a weird way, it's kind of a hybrid. It's like they're trying to restore Russia before the Soviet Union, but they're re-Sovietizing in many senses except for communism as an ideology. The ideology is not there, but they are using the methods of repression of the Soviet era in order to recreate the Russian Empire. Okay. Today is a truly very important day. Today, Putin has signed a law about a new holiday. On September 30th, we will celebrate a very important day, a day of the reunification of the new regions with Russia. The way it's defined is so-so, but on the other hand, it's open-ended. Well, wait a minute. Okay, so the new regions with Russia mean the oblasts that you stole. I talked yesterday about euphemisms, and if you haven't seen that, it's worth listening to just to help you focus your attention on what are they saying and why are they saying it. It's open-ended? What do you mean open-ended? 1, 5, 10 years from now, we celebrate this day listing new Russian regions. Wait a minute. So you're saying you're not going to stop here. See, this is why you have to pay attention to what's going on in Ukraine, because the Russians do not intend to stop. See, that's the issue. Western Russian repeaters won't be repeating this. This will not be on the Duran, and it will not be on Redacted, and it will not be something that Scott Ritter's talking about. They won't be repeating this particular point, but this is what they should be saying. They're framing it as if the West is the problem, causing them to do things. No, no, no. They're going to be continuing to try to take territory. Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Kherson. This list will be continued. I'm very much counting on it. Wow. I believe in it based on the crazed reaction in the liberal social media and the platform ran by political slur for Ukrainians that they edited out. I understand that it hit the mark. It's very painful, which means it's very correct. Our ideology is being born right now. Not an ideology, but the purpose is being discovered. Right now, Russia is discovering its purpose. This purpose is yet to be defined. Although what we know of its purpose is that it is expansionistic. It is going to reclaim what it once had. Now, there was an interesting bit where they had some old ladies talking about expanding to include reclaiming Alaska. That sounds like a pretty bad plan. Our government is very cautious. September is the 30th is the day of reunification of the new regions with Russia. I think this day will be celebrated with trepidation in the remnants of Ukraine and in some other places. You understand, this list is incomplete. Again, I'm not making this up. You hear him saying it to a Russian audience on Russian state media that the whole goal is to continue to expand, and this is why Putin needs to be checked here. Everyone understands that this list is incomplete. For now, Russia doesn't dare to define what it really has in mind and what it's really all about. This makes it even scarier. This was often said in the studio and elsewhere. Of course, this is the revision of what happened in 1991. What happened in 1991, the collapse of the Soviet Union. And so now if you are in Poland and you're hearing this, and you're in the Baltic states and you're hearing this, and you're in Romania, and so help you if you're in Moldova and you're hearing this, because Moldova is doesn't even have the protection of NATO that some of these other states have. This would be scary. This is why Finland joined NATO, because Finland was going, you know what? I saw, like, the day after the invasion, maybe 2 days after, watching the news, seeing the Finnish president coming to Washington, D.C. They were sorting something out in a hurry, right? Because they're going to keep coming if they can do it. It doesn't matter how you call it or define it. You can use the most watered down, meaningless, or meaningful definitions. You can call it denazification or demilitarization. Again, go back to yesterday where I talked about euphemisms, and we didn't even talk about denazification, but that was a euphemism for rolling into Ukraine and taking over. That was the idea. So call it whatever you want, is what he's saying. It doesn't matter. We're going to keep coming. Everyone knows what it really means. Here's another surprising thing. Over there, they figured out what it means much sooner, in their own way. It's not that they're exaggerating, dominated by historical myths and misconceptions, which don't allow Western politicians and public figures to formulate it precisely, but they correctly understand the direction where everything is going. That's right. This is where it's going unless it is checked. I did my master's thesis on the Nazis. Hitler said at some point, I can't figure out where it is. I've lost it, but I remember reading it. And I was like, whoa. Hitler said that if he had been stopped, if he had been checked when he took back the Sudetenland, he would have stopped. Like, this is how bullies, whether they're on the playground or whether they're writ large like a dictator like Hitler, this is how bullies operate. If they get stopped, they don't keep going. They call it the restoration of the Soviet Union. They say Putin wants to restore the USSR. For any Russian person, for any person of a Russian culture, it sounds bizarre. For anyone who understands the retrospective of our national consciousness for the last 1,000 years. For us, the restoration of the USSR sounds a bit funny. And perhaps that is. This is how the West processes. Look, you gobbled up all these different countries, and it looks like you want to gobble them up again. So they're thinking in terms of what is most recent in memory, and that's a normal thing for people to do. But it's worse than that. What Soviet Union? Wake up. We can rewind it by 800 years or more. You won't feel better. You will feel even worse once you finally realize what this is all about, is the restoration of a Russian nation, the restoration of the Russian Empire. Now that's pretty shocking because the Russian Empire, and this is a map of it, 8.80 million square miles. And if you look at the map, and you don't even see the United States, Alaska included, but at its peak, it controlled all of this, including Ukraine, including Poland, including the Baltic states, including Finland. So if that's what they want to restore, the special military operation isn't a limited special military operation. It's a very large scale special military operation. Okay, let's keep going. That's what the celebration on September 30th is all about. A frightening holiday, but not for us. For us, it's a bright, long-awaited holiday, the one that is hard-won. It was hard-won for over 30 years. 30 years of timelessness, blackness, and hopelessness. Pointless existence is the worst existential horror. There are some nations whose existence is pointless. They have no purpose. They've lost it. For 30 years, we lived like druggers with torn-up veins. We're getting well, even though not without withdrawals. Now, they're talking about how they're better while they're trying to take over more territory to restore Russia. That's the good scenario. The bad scenario was the previous 30 years when they weren't in Ukraine or when they weren't attacking a neighbor or whatever. Wow. Pardon my risky metaphor, but we're getting well. As for our enemies, they are ill at ease because of this. Ravished Russia that gave up on herself a la 1996 is turning into something completely different, something wonderful and something frightening. I am a citizen of a great country. I am a part of a nation-making people. Now, when he says nation-making, he's not talking about going out and expanding and creating new people groups or what. No, he's talking about taking over the free will, the destiny of people that want to control their own destiny, who are not Russians, who are just happen to be within the geographical confines of what Russia was at one point. That's what he's talking about. I'm part of a nation-making people that built the biggest empire in the existence to date. History is a long thing. No need to rush. Don't run in front of a locomotive. No need to explain that everything has already happened. I'm addressing this to the political Ukrainians. They keep insisting, why are you messing with our nation? Guys, you are either dumb or blind, or maybe you never read a book in your life. Go and read some and realize what is obvious. For us, Ukraine was never a foreign nation. Now wrap that around your mind. That's what he's saying. Ukraine is not Russia, but he's saying Ukraine doesn't exist as its own entity. It is part of Russia, and we're coming for it. So if you think that you can make a peace deal with that mentality, you're in la la land. This is why you have to stop them, and this is why you have to stop them here and now, and you have to roll them back and out of Ukraine, because if you don't, what he's saying is they're going to keep coming. And he's proud of that. And he thinks that's the healthy Russia, not the sick Russia. Okay, tell me what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear them. Put them in the comments below. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes. Thank you for the coffees. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.